thought this was the headline topic, which I find actually really interesting
Well,
because
it's interesting to me. You want to? Should I pull back the curtain and let them know why I thought this would be a good headline topic?
What's the point of even having curtains anyway, right? Do they even match the carpet? Like, just
not right now.
I mean, same. Wow, this was quick. And goodbye, rails.
Anyways, no, it just seemed clicky.
Okay.
It's also like an actual discussion.
Yeah, well, that was it. That was your curtain pulling back?
Yeah.
Jeez.
It seemed clicky.
Remind me not to camp outside of your apartment with binoculars, because I'm not going to see anything. Okay. Apparently, I'd see some stuff. So what I told Luke we could do on the show, what I said we could do was we could go through the exercise of why it's really difficult for us to move, because it's been a pain point for us for basically the last probably 3 years.
Since we got the lab. We've
known that we were growing out of this space that we're in right now, which is the old everything, studio, office. So we expanded on the one side. We expanded on the other side. We hit a wall there. There's a neighbor that's not selling. So that's it. This is where we are here. And then we expanded to another unit elsewhere in our complex for Creator Warehouse, who handles all the merch. And then finally we were like, okay, well, this is it. We either need to kind of separate our operations and have different departments in different buildings, kind of like we did with Creator Warehouse, or we need to consolidate into one gigantic building. And the gigantic building was going to be really, really expensive, not just because it's expensive to buy a building, but because the building you're going to get is going to cost an absolute fortune to build out the way that we do.
And there just aren't actually really that many buildings at that size.
Is what I said back then.
Oh, is
but
there?
The market has softened a lot here in Vancouver.
I mean,
remember, I'm talking industrial. I'm talking commercial.
It's
right.
Still.
Well, let's have a look.
Okay.
Let's go through the exercise that I go through every time I'm looking at commercial real estate. And I'll talk about some of the things that can be really sort of appealing and some of the things that can be really challenging and why it's so hard to find something that's the right fit.
Because like for some context for viewers too, right? Like we have, if you think about the production team for videos, that is pretty fragmented right now. Literally none of the teams that might work together are actually close to each other. Even if it's writing in labs, you're at opposite ends of the building and there's a big set of stairs and many sets of doors in between. And it's very likely if you're going through those doors, you're disturbing somebody in some department. So it's like not really that small of a walk. If you're either labs or writing and you're talking to editing, well, I mean, that's now a 10-minute walk or a 2-minute drive. How do we solve this? Well, the Lego pieces don't really click together very well. There isn't a lot of office space in the labs building. There isn't enough space in general in the studio buildings.
Yep.
Parking is a nightmare at either one of them.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay. Anyways.
Now, in fairness to us, it did look like the best solution for expansion at the time, because building out something the way that sort of I expect us to do it for our team is really, really expensive. And that adds a lot to the cost of sort of abandoning what we've got here and then consolidating somewhere else. For example, in the Lower Mainland, so in our area, it is way abnormal, basically unheard of, unless you are like a food distribution company, to have HVAC in your warehouse. So the fact that we have heat, yes, because it can't be so cold that devices stop working properly or whatever. But having air conditioning in a warehouse space, pretty much unheard of in this area.
Yeah.
Whereas all of our warehouse spaces are heated and cooled, so that because we're not really using them in a warehouse capacity, and we don't really have warehouse people. I mean, I don't know. I say that we don't just have warehouse people working in them, but I honestly, I don't think that's a good excuse either. I think warehouses should probably be climate controlled.
Sometimes, like if you're a forklift driver, you might have like a fan mounted on the forklift.
Sure, but
stuff like that.
Like that
doesn't make you
blows. Nice.
That's pretty good.
Basically,
pretty good.
what I'm trying to say is I don't really care who you are or how much money you make. You're worth air conditioning.
When we have things called heat domes,
yeah,
and you're in a big metal box, it might be nice to be able to cool
Now,
down.
in fairness to a lot of the building owners and business owners in the Vancouver area, it hasn't really been a problem until probably about the last 5 or 6 years. Like, we used to have like one hot week of freaking summer. And so whatever, we're going to install tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of air conditioning for like that 1 week. No, probably not. But we've made the plunge, which means that any building we move into, we have to put stuff like that into it, which adds a lot to the build out cost. So let's take a look and let's talk about some of the challenges that we run into. So Colliers is one of the sites that probably makes sense to use if you're looking for commercial real estate.
Sure.
Let's have a look. Ooh, there's look at this. See, this is what I'm talking about, Luke. When I would have pulled up this map, let's say 2 years ago,
there would have been nothing. Right?
There would have been flipping. Like this is
3 or
such
4
a terrible
things.
interface. Can you guys be slightly less of a
realty
crappy
websites
website?
are brutal.
Yeah, they're so
I have
bad.
always thought if we could go back and instead of making Floatplane, we should just make like realty software.
I know, right?
They pay so much for it, and it's so bad. It's kind of crazy.
Freaking wild. Okay. So this is kind of the area that we'd be looking at. So here's where the office is now. And most of the team is living in, these are the urban centers. You can tell from the white instead of the green. Green is like for grass and trees and whatnot. So you're going to have people living in kind of Maple Ridge, kind of Langley. Not too many people down in South Surrey, just because that's like the bougie area of the actual city over here. It's like the bougie burb.
Oh wait, you mean like potentially like employees, or what do you?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm talking
yeah.
Because
there's a bunch of people in South Surrey. It's just really expensive.
Yeah, I'm talking about like where people who commute to this office here are generally going to be coming from.
Yeah.
A little bit of Coquitlam, a little bit of Burnaby, a little bit of like further west. But the more we were to move an office kind of this way into Burnaby, Marine Drive, or like Richmond or something like that, the more expensive housing is going to get.
The warehouse.
We have found that, that too. So we found that this is a pretty good middle ground. If we could be more like here, that might be more betterer, but okay, let's
you're very nicely close to the highway, just to give some people some context there.
Yeah. This is Canada's only road.
Yeah,
this is the Trans-Canada Highway.
That's the road everyone memes about when they're talking about Canada.
Yeah.
So being close to that is generally efficient for most people.
Okay, so let's have a look. This is what's in this area. This is hilarious. The first one that comes up is, of course, the court-ordered sale for the aspirational mall in Surrey. So
wait, Newlands is for sale?
Yeah, Newlands Golf and Country Club is for sale.
What?
Dude, okay.
What if we could bring like telemetry golfing data and like what if we made a high-tech golf course?
Okay, Luke,
and had an office there.
Get this. The combined estimated value of Creator Warehouse, the studio, and the lab is probably in the neighborhood of around $25 to $30 million. Okay. Get this. How much do you think Newlands Golf and Country Club is worth? It is 111 acres with 90,000 square feet of building. To put for some context, we're in about 40,000 square feet combined. What do you think Newlands Golf and Country Club is worth?
That's like pretty nice building, and there's like kitchen on site. I'm assuming that has a cost. I'm assuming they're not just ripping that out. Oh, I know. I'm not gonna look at chat.
Don't look at chat. Don't look at chat. They're gonna help you cheat.
My first hunch is like 350.
350 what?
Mil.
350 mil, really? Try 40.
40? What?
So what do you think? We move LMG
Let's buy Newlands
to Newlands Golf and Country Club.
Wait, how is it actually? Is there something going on with it?
Dude, I have no idea.
Because how is it multiple times bigger than ours? The facilities are like really nice.
zoning.
What? How is it so cheap? With
I
that
have
much
no idea.
land, too.
So there's like I said, there's some stuff going on in the Vancouver area right now.
How do you get 112 acres?
Some of the big money, I think, is moving.
Is it zoning?
Is moving out. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Some of the big money, though, is moving out of Vancouver real estate because of some of the recent changes that the Trudeau administration has made to the way that taxes on capital gains work. So there has been like an emergency fire sale of some very high value assets. And there's only so many buyers for a 40 million. So for context, that's about 30 million US dollars, maybe a little less, like 29 or something like that.
Golf pond cooled computer.
Right? How fun would that be?
Gaming PC in your golf cart?
We could overclock one of the... Oh, no, you don't do that with golf. Never mind.
Okay.
I was thinking baseball, like when it shoots the...
So, So part of this is that it does seem like there's a bit of bubble bursting going on.
Yeah.
I think that part of it is a demographic shift. So you've got because realistically, I'm probably one of the only people in my cohort that is like running a small to medium, like a business of this size.
Yeah.
Most of the businesses in our area are run by boomers. And what's happening with boomers? They're retiring, right? So when you retire, you either are looking to sell your business and retain the asset and keep collecting rent from it as like your pension, or you're looking to sell the building, take a big bucket of cash, spend it on, some other crap. Give some of it to your kids. Spend some of it on like a lakefront property over on the island. Whatever you want the big bucket of cash, and then you keep running the business for your pocket money.
Instead of hookers and blow, it's like cruise ships and painkillers. Sorry, I'm just trying.
That's good.
Thank you.
Or you're selling both pieces and you're just like, screw it. This is so much of a nest egg that I'm gonna sit on this nest egg forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's some of that happening as well. And then the other big one that you already touched on is zoning. So this right here. Oh, why am I on this new cam? This is zoned essentially for operating as a golf course, yeah.
And so I didn't think about it because I was trying to think of the acreage, because that amount of acreage here, if you turn that into 5-story walk-ups, infinite money.
Oh, for sure. And to be clear, there is some development potential. You can see there's about 6 acres of non-agricultural land reserve. So that means you basically can't do jack with it. Like you could buy a 50-acre farm for less than like a 1-acre residential lot in some cases. Okay, not quite, but the point is that this agricultural land reserve land is worth functionally nothing compared to something that you could actually build residential or build industrial or commercial on. There's a whole lot of other red flags here. Landmark status? Oh no.
What does that mean?
You don't want anything with status. You don't want heritage status.
Fair enough.
Landmark status.
What is landmark? I've heard of heritage status.
I don't know. I don't know what landmark status is. I don't care. I don't want to know. That sounds terrible. Basically, it means there's red tape that you're going to have to jump through if you want to do anything other than sit in the office there and run a golf course. Okay, what'd you find?
Historic place. I haven't got anything specific yet, but the first Google brings you to historic place, which I'm assuming is essentially the same thing as heritage status.
Yeah, you don't want any of that. You don't want any part of that. Okay, so we're not buying a golf course because it's stupid, basically. What else we got? What else we got here? Okay, so yeah, we're not buying the city block in Surrey that's been rotting since the 90s. We talked about that last week. You're going to find a lot of stuff that's for lease. And the thing is, leasing, yeah, it's an option. If you can afford to buy, though, the fact that we have owned this has saved us literally.
I've liked that approach. I've supported that approach the whole time.
Literally millions of dollars. Because your landlord, in the time since we bought the first 3 units, we paid $1 million for 3 units. one of those units is now worth about 1.1 or something like 1.2. It's essentially quadrupled in value, which means that if we had leased it, our rent would have quadrupled, putting money in the pocket of our landlord, when instead we were able to invest that money in our own equity that we can now use to cross-shop something else. So if you can afford to buy, I'd like to buy, even though, with that said, the market is, not going too great right now, but...
Sorry, one sec. Lomac in Flipling Chat said we pay $500,000 a year for our business property in Port Kells, for our lease of our business property in Port Kells. That's a lot of money, dude. That's a
lot of freaking money.
$500,000.
And the thing about commercial leases is they are way worse than residential leases. And I know residential rent agreements and lease agreements can be brutal. They can be so burdensome for the renter, especially if you live in an area where you don't have ample protections. But commercial, whole other level. They're what are called triple net, which essentially means that you pay for your rent and they get to advertise that lease rate, which is going to be per square foot. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like $11 to $18 a square foot, depending on sort of what you're looking at. So let's say $10 to $20 a square foot. Then you have something called additional rent. What's your additional rent? Go ahead and ask me.
What is that? Is that like power and water?
No. You pay your own utilities.
I have genuinely no idea.
Me neither. It's whatever it is. I just pass through to you whatever property tax I pay, whatever building maintenance I might incur. Now, I, as the landlord, have to pay it up front. So if the building needs a new roof, I pay for the roof. But then what I do is I pass the expense along to you, and you pay me back yearly in installments for that roof for my building.
Oh my God.
That's how commercial works, baby. So, commercial leases, absolutely brutal.
Apparently additional rent can go up by any percentage.
Yeah.
So additional rent is used to circumvent the maximum percentage increases for rent. Because if they can't increase the base rent, they just increase the additional rent by any percentage they want. So it could be, this is obviously not real, but it could be like 300% because they're like, we need it to make up for whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, commercial leases.
I'm just like Googling this stuff. I don't know if this is 100% true or not. Don't take this as fact.
It's Shirley Time says, never sign a triple net lease. You will not find a lease in the Vancouver area that isn't triple net. And that's even now that things are a bit more of a buyer's market. I think our vacancy, last time I looked at the report for it, was under 1%. Real vacancy, because some of the vacancy is not even real. It's like it's fake because it's vacant now, but it's just pending. It's absolutely brutal. So you pay the base rent, property taxes, building insurance and utilities, as well as other operating and maintenance costs. The landlord assumes no cost other than structural repairs. And structural, that doesn't mean roof. That means like
foundation.
The foundation. Essentially, unless the building collapses into the sea, they are not responsible for anything.
And
you're paying the insurance, by the way, to cover if that happens.
The whole other operating costs thing is where you're getting killed because they can define anything that way. Yeah. Other operating costs could be, I don't know, the landlord decides to pay himself $40,000 an hour.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or they hire trades that are like their buddies to do any of the work.
Yeah.
Pass that along to you.
Yeah.
That's not their problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a whole thing.
Brutal.
It leaves itself obviously glaringly open to abuse. But that's the system we have. Cool. All right, what else we got? Okay, we've got residential development.
So not a golf course, not a city block,
Willowbrook
not a
Park is for sale, brother.
What is that?
It's like Willowbrook, like
the shop. Wait, what?
Like the shopping center, not Willowbrook Mall. The one like right across from it. Willowbrook Park. Willowbrook Park is for sale. The whole thing? The whole thing. 200,000 square feet of retail.
What?
I know, right?
90 million.
Dude, and the number of court-ordered sales that I've seen recently? What the hell? Freaking wild.
Mayfair Industrial.
What's going on?
Okay, so this
people
is...
are running out of money.
Yeah. So interest rates have been high for a while.
Long time.
And it takes a while because your mortgage is going to be on 2-year, 3-year, 5-year renewal term, right?
So if you were on a fixed.
So in many cases, these properties are owned by people who are using them as a land bank. Essentially, they're just parking their money in an asset that, unlike cash, isn't going to just inflation rot itself into oblivion. Theoretically, land, gold, crypto. I'm not endorsing any of these particular assets, but typically assets are, as long as they aren't hyper volatile ones, are a safer storage of wealth than just cash, because there's nobody actively trying to deflate the value of it. So what's happening is, all of a sudden, if you don't own the property outright, like if you're just hoping that your rent is going to cover your mortgage while the asset appreciates, that calculus, just like for many residential owners, is changing the second that you renew your mortgage, and you're not getting essentially free debt anymore.
Yeah.
So this land bank might be appreciating, although in the case of Vancouver, as I mentioned, the market's softening, so it maybe isn't appreciating.
It's either not appreciating so much, or it's just stagnating.
And now it's costing you way more than you thought it was. So you're sitting here going, okay, well, there's no upside to this. Let's sell Willowbrook Park.
Which, to be clear, that's an outdoor mall, yeah? That's the one across the street? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not, some people were like, LTT Mall. It's like, yeah, I don't think it would be as interesting because it's an outdoor mall.
Yeah, not so much. This one's kind of interesting. You'll find a lot of the good land has been kind of developed.
Sectioned off in weird ways. Yeah.
So what's left as development opportunities is going to be a lot of these like super weird shaped sites.
Yeah.
This is a good shaped site. 4 acres, though, of it are encumbered by a BC Hydro easement. Ooh. So you got to watch out for easements, because that pretty much means 2/3 of this BC Hydro, which is our power monopoly, needs to be able to drive on and access, essentially. Yep. So that one, probably not super appealing. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, development, office units, and this is not going to be that relevant to us. Residential.
You could put in property type and stuff. You could use the filters.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Use the filters, Tech Man.
Sure, I'll use the filters. All right, let's get. You know what? Let's look at office too. Why don't we look at industrial and office? Okay?
LTT Towers, Linus Tech Towers.
Oh, paved and fenced yard area. Oh, I can lease a yard. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I'll just pay your mortgage for you. What else we got? Oh, man, this is far. This is really far. Also small. Too small. Brand new industrial facility in Port Coquitlam. This is too small. This is only about the size of the lab. So if the lab was big enough, then we could do that. So even now, you can see with all of these options available to us, there's really not that much that would actually be suitable for us to move into.
Unless you just, make your own town.
Dude, we don't want to be on Annacis Island. Dan's given the
No, thank you.
You don't want to be there.
No,
dude.
thank you.
A, it's really far. B, it's like
The traffic.
Burn your nostrils out for the rest of your life.
That, and it's like the kind of the old industrial, like, crappy island. It's like
lots of sulfur.
Any of you guys
there,
play
right?
Anno? Anyone play Anno? Okay, so they put all the stuff that contributes to less beautification of your island. You move it all onto
steel smelting, pig farms.
Steel Island. That's Annacis Island, essentially.
The rug of Vancouver. You just push everything under there.
Yeah. Okay, we can actually change our listings to just things that are for sale to kind of narrow things down a little bit. Basically, there's not actually that much, and part of the problem is
City center, dude.
There's a big industrial park further down, like down here in Campbell Heights. That's pretty far from any population centers because, like I said, most people are not living in South Surrey, so people are mostly living here, and they're living here, and they're living here. So the farther down south we go, the more challenging it gets. So Campbell Heights is down here.
There was one that seemed kind of interesting, but it keeps, as you're scrolling around, it keeps...
Oh, I'm sorry, the quad?
No.
That one's in Campbell Heights.
No, it was scrolled down.
It's not that mall again, is it?
Nope.
We're not buying that mall.
No. It was scrolled down.
Okay, court-ordered
It
sale.
was right here, though. I don't know where you were looking at the time. Dang.
I'm so sorry, Luke.
I'm not sure.
Maybe you'll see it. There is kind of an interesting one in Port Kells. So that's up in this area. So it's kind of a sister building to the Smash Champs Badminton Center building. This is too far.
Dude, being right next to Smash Champs would be sick.
I would love it, but the problem with Port Kells is that it is
Best lunch breaks.
crazy expensive.
Oh.
Crazy expensive. Oh, way out in Delta. Yeah, why do I even have Delta on the map? Okay, let's get Delta out of here. We don't need to see anything in Delta. Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, is there anything else you want to look at? You want to ask, like, why not that one? Because I'll be happy to. Oh, is it this one? 192 Business Center?
It wasn't, but let's look at it.
Sure. Yeah, we can look at 192 Business Center. So this one is very similar to Smash Champs. Pretty nice. Brand new building, right? Pretty sick. Okay, let's have a look. Ooh, look at that. Up to 50,000 square feet. 32-foot clear ceilings. Lots of power. 200 amps. Woo! We'll get that high efficiency LED lighting. It's brand new buildings, man. Really nice. There's some very nice to haves, but there's a big problem with brand new buildings. You notice something here? They talk a lot about when it's going to be complete and how many dock and grade loading bays you've got and how close it is to Highway 1. Okay. How close it is to the airport. Okay. So here's our problem. How many parking stalls do we have?
Yeah. This is very common with new buildings. They just don't put enough parking at all.
Because you sell the building based on the square footage.
Yeah.
That's the calculation that everybody is doing.
Yeah.
But the parking stalls don't count towards square footage. So developers, and you know what, part of this is honestly probably a good thing because less parking, less cars. If people were riding their bikes or taking transit more, that would be awesome. I can tell you right now, not a whole lot of that is happening here.
Yeah.
It just isn't. So part of it is good aspirationally if we were using more public transit, but the reality now is that would accommodate maybe a quarter of our company right now. And my understanding, don't quote me on this, my understanding is that Beatty, the developer of this property, worked out a deal with the city where they didn't have to account for any street parking in their development. So they were able to effectively build right to the road, like right to the travel areas of the road. So while in the building we're in now also has inadequate parking, probably about the same ratio like a new building would have because they want to maximize the square footage they can sell. Ours, at least, has street parking. It's not ideal. Nobody likes trudging to the building through the snow or whatever in the winter.
It's fine.
But we have
doable.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas
at least there is somewhere to put your car.
This you'd be parking probably in the neighborhood of like 5 to 6 blocks away.
Which,
if it's anything like Smash Champs, which I actually did have to pace out because we were trying to figure out what parking would look like for a LAN event, for example.
Yeah.
So at LAN events, if we can get the city on board at Smash, which by the way, we can talk about that. We submitted our package to them this week. We gave the city our package.
Did you know?
We did. Was
it well received?
I think so.
Nice.
I think so.
That's
I think
good.
they were.
You asked them?
They admired it.
Was it good for you?
So we gave them the package. We could talk about that a little bit more later, actually. I'm pretty excited to talk about Whale Land. But if it's anything like Smash, it's brutal, basically. It's fine if you're coming in once a quarter for an event.
Yeah.
But if you're commuting every day and you're like hiking from your car, you're going to need like an electric scooter in your car just to do the last leg of your commute, which is a little ridiculous. So that's the problem.
There's a video upgrading every one of my employees' cars with like a electric scooter storage. Sorry, keep going.
The older buildings will have more parking. They'll have more yard space.
Yeah.
But they will lack a lot of nice to haves that are going to need to be upgraded that are going to cost money. The newer buildings are built with the new meta, which means you get a lot more up-to-date, nice stuff, good power, good LED lighting. They're way more efficient in terms of keeping in heat and keeping out cold, that sort of thing.
Which is money.
but they have no parking. What else we got here? We don't have to do this much longer if you guys are bored. Underground parking. Okay, so
I find this stuff interesting.
Ruker asks, what about underground parking over in Floatplane chat?
There's very little of it here.
You know why?
No.
Well,
Is it like the water table or something?
Okay, so I suspect there is something to do with that, but I don't know anything about the actual engineering of it.
Sure.
What I can tell you is that the way that property values have skyrocketed here in such a short period of time has changed the calculus for underground parking in a big way. So it would have been not that long ago that underground parking didn't make any sense here.
It's really expensive.
It's the last quote I got was about 100,000 Canadian dollars per stall. And that is going to be somewhat dependent on what kind of a building you're building and like whether you would have had to like dig a big hole anyway versus if you're digging it just for the express purpose of putting cars in it. But pretty much until land values went to the moon here, it made way more sense to do the suburbia thing and just sprawl your parking lots.
Yeah.
So what I suspect is we'll see a lot more of them in the future, but they don't really exist here, at least not now, because it didn't make any sense. The land was not worth so much that it was worth digging into it in order to park cars in it.
The only thing you'd see it for was apartment buildings generally.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know why, but that was the thing.
Yeah, Shraff2K says you can always add nice to haves. You can't add more parking stalls. You can. Yeah, Artie Raff says rooftop parking. Yes, that is technically possible, but you're going to have to re-engineer the entire bloody structure to hold all the cars on the roof. So that's going to be requiring some
minor
budget.
Cost.
Yeah, some budget.
Just have a program where a certain percentage of the employee base gets free Ubers to work.
I actually kind of like this one. It's really close to home. I've seen this before. But part of the problem is that while it does have 100,000 square feet of building on it, I don't think...
Is that train?
Oh, yeah. That's the rail. Oof. I mean, okay, look. Okay, let me get to that. It has 100,000 square feet of building on it, but those are the buildings.
Oh.
We ain't using those buildings.
No.
This is what we call in the biz a teardown. So that would help, with mitigating train noise, is you could, double insulate your walls or whatever else. Like you could actually...
Not gonna solve it.
It won't solve it, but it would do a lot. But the cost of this, because you're essentially buying $100,000 worth of buildings that you are going to then wreck, makes this just not make any sense. I don't even think they have a price quoted on this one. I might have asked at some point, but I can't remember. But yeah, this one's interesting, but unfortunately no. What's also cool about this one is it's over the 196th Street border, which means that we'd be eligible for more film and production services tax credits.
I suspect whoever's selling it is hoping that whoever buys it wants the buildings to just store stuff from the trains in, so that they don't need to be nice.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not me. So get wrecked, me.
Yep. Yeah, someone asked this. And I can think of some reasons why this might be rough, but there are examples of this around the area, but empty land.
Yeah, there's not much. And a lot of what's empty land is ALR. So you'll see it, you'll look at it and you'll be like, oh yeah, look how many buildings we could put here.
What if we made, I mean, there's Clarkson's farm. It's doing very well.
What about a server farm?
What if we had What if we had Linus's farm?
Ding it. Ding the thing. You have to ding your own thing.
What if we did Linus's farm? What's the minimum we would need to farm? It could be fine. You can do things like chickens and it's like whatever.
6 pigs or something?
It's less that how much minimum we would need to farm, and it's more how much maximum other things could we do there. We couldn't have a production studio on a farm because that would devalue the production studio zoned land that somebody else bought before. Also, pretty much all of our farmland in the Lower Mainland is floodplain. And I don't know about you, but I'm not super into buying things that are going to be underwater soon. Or could be underwater soon. And we have had some very significant floods here. Our only road was wiped out for a substantial amount of time because of basically a lake that we unlaked, and then it decided to relake itself.
It's fun when things relake themselves.
Yeah.
Breweries on ALR with their own hops have issues with the ALR.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I mean,
I can see that.
know of a not small amount of people in BC that are aggressively skirting ALR rules. And I think if someone from the ALR just took a little drive around a lot of places in BC and cared at all, a lot of people would lose their setups. So it makes me care less when it feels like more than half of it is being abused. And it makes me want to do it ourselves.
I get such a kick out of the gigantic mansions.
The Omega mansions.
On farmland.
With no farming going on ever. Like this is...
Oh, we got him going. We got him going here, boys. Here we go. Here we go.
At least my biggest thing is like you should at least fucking attempt. You should at least try. Put something there. Why is it just open grass field? You don't have horses. There's no horses. There's nothing else. You're doing nothing. How do they get away with this? I know the whole flip. I've heard the stories. I know the flip of you bring an outside company to plant some junk, and then you have them also come pick it, and you make $0 off of it.
Yep.
But the whole thing is so that you can have your stupid, probably disgusting looking, terribly designed building on this plot of land in the middle of nowhere that you live in and do nothing else and probably don't see anyone because you're xenophobic for some reason. Anyways, I hate. Anyways,
wow.
But it's all a joke. I've also heard that a huge percentage of that crop just gets thrown away.
That makes
Because
sense.
it's
Because they're
not
just growing
being-
whatever. They're not growing based on what we need. They're growing based on...
And it's not being properly treated.
Right.
It's just being planted and then pulled out of the ground at the end of the season.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So like it's a lot of it's junk. Like it's this clear, obvious, insane charade. And there's parts of BC that you can literally drive around for a very long time where you're just going mansion with no farm, mansion with no farm, mansion with no farm, mansion with no farm for like ever. It really makes you not surprised when you drive around farmland in BC, figuring out that there's more corruption in BC than like practically anywhere. Because you're like, I wonder, where do all the people live that have all this corruption? And then you drive around what should be farmland and you're like, oh, it's, oops, all mansions. Like, okay, anyways. All right.
Yeah. Good chat.
I'll relax.
So anyway, we still have our ear to the ground, and I suspect I'm talking as much to our staff as I am to our viewers at this point. We still have our ear to the ground, but it's a challenge. Taryn sent me one actually the other day that looked pretty cool. It's a little far from my house, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Move.
Well,
More videos.
It would be far from a lot of people. Oh,
You'd have to set up your new house.
I really don't want to move. Here, let's see if I can. Oh wait, not this one. No, this was me.
Free content.
This was me sending him the stupid
Free
mall.
content, dude.
Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here we go. 085 North Fraser Way. Honestly, it looks pretty cool.
One of the big problems is like the really good solutions are going to be so far out, and then they become bad solutions for other reasons.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's right.
relocating the whole company.
Okay,
is, like,
hold
kind
on.
of a
You
problem.
asked about empty land.
Yeah,
That's a big problem for empty land. Is
it's
that
all far out.
it's all really far out. Like,
I know I've seen some locally, but it's probably like residential or
Dude,
something.
Smash Champs was a completed building when we got it. Think about how long it took us just to do the tenant improvement.
Oh yeah.
If we're building a building, it's like 2 to 3 years before we will actually move into it.
You spin up a new channel, Linus Building Tips, LBT. You Clarkson's farm it.
I can't find this for some reason.
What if you don't even hire a contracting company? What if you are the contracting company?
What if you don't?
I got a concrete mixer. We could do that in a weekend.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We got a laser level in logistics. It'll be fine.
We can figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Well, all the walls are just made of conduit. Linus said he likes conduit. We'll just make it out of conduit.
You never have any problems running any cables.
No.
Might be a little loud.
No, you put insulation like in between.
In the conduit.
Oh my God.
We're figuring it out.
This is why you're CTO. So smart. He's so smart.
Oh no.
All right, I am sending myself. I'm sending myself the PDF. Here we go.
What if you make a crypto coin called apples and then you mine apples?
Oh, that's not bad.
ALR farming?
I like it.
Nice.
It's nice. Okay, here we go. Okay, well,
So what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it is, okay, so number one is it is anywhere from 50 to 100% farther away from me, which I don't like.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
What else is wrong with it?
It's way farther for you, too.
I will move.
It's in Burnaby.
Oh.
You're not going to move to Burnaby.
I did once.
Yeah. And how was that?
I was scars.
My scars remind me that the past is real. You're not moving to Burnaby. Number two, it costs about double what our holdings are worth. So,
I'll cough it up.
Really?
Kind of. Then how else would we?
Floatplane chat says tax write-off.
Yeah, there you go.
Easy solution.
If
Just write
this
it off.
company is buying a building, it's you buying a building. So like, you're gonna have to cough it up either way. You
Well,
just
yeah,
have
but
to-
no, the plan, Luke, the plan is to sell what we have. It's to trade,
Yeah,
not
we're
to.
we're trying to get something better.
Well,
You
yeah,
cough it up a little bit.
Not necessarily. I don't think we need more space than we have.
No,
We
probably not.
do
It just
not-
needs to be in one roof.
We do not use our space very efficiently. So,
to be fair,
we do our best.
yeah, and it's been a growth over time and do things by necessity type of thing. If you're building something from scratch, you can know what you need. When we don't know what we need and we're just trying to make things work, stuff just kind of happens. I don't know.
Like what we're sitting in right now was our neighbor, and then was the employee lounge, and then was inventory, or were those
I
flipped
think
around?
it was inventory and then employee lounge.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And it now is Wancho set, because you just
I don't know. Things just happen.
you have to move the puzzle pieces around in order to make everything fit together. So no, I don't think that we need more. I don't think we need more space. We just need a better planned out space. And so 100,000
one space.
100,000 square feet is a lot. The other issue with this one
It's so sick though.
is this. I'll show you this. These two
Investment
words.
opportunity.
That means
That's
that
scary.
no. What that means is that it's leased already. This is not priced for owner occupier. So even though it costs only twice as much. It's closer to the city, which theoretically should have more value. It has a ton of parking. It's on like a nice big lot, and it's 2.5 times as much space for only double the price. But that's because we can't occupy it. So whoever's there is going to stay there, and I would just own a building for my personal portfolio. LMG couldn't actually move into it. So there's always a deal breaker. It's a bigger challenge than I think.
Literally not being able to use the building is a pretty big deal breaker.
Yeah. There's always a deal breaker.
Can you ever talk to the tenant? Can you be like, yo, are you planning on staying here and stuff?
Commercial leases, on the one hand, are sort of brutal for the person who signs them. Financially, because it's triple net. We talked about that a little bit earlier. But remember how I said that they're like way worse than residential? One of the things that's like, I guess, worse about them, or like more hardcore about them, there's more.
Can you like not kick the tenant
You
out?
cannot break them. There is no like, what if I can't make rent? Or like, what if I need to renovate the building and kick you out, or whatever? That, like, essentially, there's more paperwork for a commercial lease than there is for a residential sale.
Oof.
Essentially, it is done. And I don't speak for every region necessarily, but here, it's done.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what do
until
we do
such
then?
time as it is not done. For now, we take e-bikes between the buildings.
Keep looking.
We keep our ear to the ground.
Yeah.
We kind of watch what's happening with the market, and we hope that at some point we can find something. But and we're going to look at moving some departments around. To have people who work together more closer
It's a tricky
together.
one.
But it is actually pretty tough. And part of the problem is, like you said, the way that we built this place out piecemeal means that it's not as flexible of a space. Monorail.
Monorail.
Okay, anyway. What do you want to talk about next?
March messages.
We should put train tracks behind the buildings and then get those old bikes that you can ride on train tracks.
Okay.